Hello, Houston, and good afternoon. This is Catholic Lunch Break, the weekly program where we catch up with all things Catholic in the greater Houston area. We thank you so much for listening to us here on AM 1430 and live on our streams, the Guadalupe Radio Network. My name is Wyatt Goolsby. I'm the executive director of this radio station, KSHJ, and we thank you so much for joining us. A lot to talk about as we normally do on this one-hour program. A lot going on in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. First off, I want to wish everyone a happy week of the 5th Sunday of Lent. And as we do here with the Guadalupe Radio Network, we begin our shows with prayer. So if you please join me in a prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come. Before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
As I mentioned, my name is Wyatt Goolsby. Joining me, as usual, is our super volunteer, Carol Herrera. Carol, good to have you again. Another fun-filled Monday.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Wyatt, and good afternoon to everyone. I hope you're having a great week so far.
It's so far so good. We know it's Holy Week is fast approaching, so that next week's going to be really busy, of course. But in the meantime, we have a busy week this week.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow is the big day for us here because we have our quarterly share-a-thon, and so we're going to have volunteers here starting at 7 a.m. when we're answering your phone calls and here from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you're going to be here too, Carol, so
That's
it's going to be really busy.
Absolutely. The share-a-thon is tomorrow, and we're ready and set to go, aren't we, Wyatt?
Yeah, nearly set. We've been working on setting up our phones and our conference room as well as we've been reaching out to volunteers. So we still have some openings, by the way, for volunteers.
Okay.
And so if you're able to help, by the way, we need help in two shifts, really 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. is usually how we do it. But we have a couple of open slots in both the morning and the afternoon. So if people are able to spend some time here with us, ideally for that long period of time, but if not, a few hours could help. We're asking you to email me. It's Wyatt, that's my first name, Wyatt at grnonline.com. Wyatt at grnonline.com.
And like you said, tomorrow it starts, and it's going to be going on all week. But we'll be hosting it tomorrow, correct? You want to explain to people how that works?
Sure.
We're actually going to have the volunteers here answering your calls. I'm going to be here working all day, so I may be answering your call as well.
That's right, exactly. So quarterly we do our annual share-a-thon, which is a big fundraiser for the Guadalupe Radio Network.
A lifeline, that's right.
Absolutely. We're 100% listener-supported ministry. We can't stay on the air without people's help. So starting tomorrow and running through Friday, you're going to be hearing programming here with us running our share-a-thon. That's our call-in, phone-a-thon fundraiser. And so like you said, Carol, tomorrow will be really important for our office, the Houston office, because we'll have all of the volunteers here very early in the morning and stay until the evening answering your phone calls all day. And hopefully people will call in and make pledges or donations.
Exactly. And while we want everyone to call from throughout the area, we also want to make sure that we get the Houston support, loud and strong here, because, we do frequent the community, and we'd love to hear from the different parishes about how we're making a difference in the community, and it's just exciting to hear people's voices. Hey, I remember you from so-and-so, or pray for me, which is another thing we do for people as they call in to make their pledges. And I want to tell you that we appreciate anything from, that $1 to, whatever you can afford to do. So all is appreciated, for us, exactly. Because every cent counts, Wyatt,
Absolutely. And, frequently, as you know, Carol, we do matching gift hours where if people
That's
are able to call in, we'll actually double their money. So any kind of donation, like you say, can really be a big help, or just making the pledge and being consistent with that as well. So we really appreciate all of the support in that. So again, tomorrow, get started with the share-a-thon.
That's right.
And we'll be here in the Houston office, volunteers answering your phone calls.
And it's going to be exciting. And do you know what time you're going to be speaking on the air? What time is your slot?
I think Tim and I are on the air at 10 a.m. starting tomorrow. So we'll be starting off pretty early in the morning.
And we'll be able to hear David. Is David going to be on the air too?
I was going to say David's on, I think, in the afternoon.
Okay.
So he'll be on too. So yes, it's going to be Tim and I and David, and we'll be checking in throughout it as well, because we have some interviews that we recorded. So you'll be hearing our voices for sure.
Great. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So share-a-thon's one big thing happening tomorrow. We should also say tomorrow is March 19th. So tomorrow is the feast day of St. Joseph, so head of the Holy Family there. So that's pretty important. And I was going to say, Carol, that St. Joseph means something to you in particular because you actually go to Mass regularly at St. Joseph, which is in Houston.
Yes, I was just there yesterday. And on Tuesday, they have a spaghetti luncheon planned after their 12:10 Mass.
Oh, boy.
So that's going to be exciting. The St. Joseph Church, of course, the patron saint.
Right.
So we're going to be having a spaghetti dinner there. And so hopefully you can come by, during your lunch break and enjoy some spaghetti, some community and talk to, meet Father Victor Bettis if you don't know him.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Joseph's Catholic Church is located in the downtown Houston area. So it's a quick, it's in central Houston. So, enjoy yourself. Come by, have some spaghetti and say hello to Father and the rest of us there.
Nice shout out to Father Victor Perez, a friend of the program, friend of the radio station as well. So I was going to say, if that weren't enough of a church tour for you, Carol, you've been visiting several churches. You're continuing your pilgrimage, which you've been telling us about. Your goal is to get across to every church and chapel in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston. Several
You're
years
right.
long now, pilgrimage. You're going every weekend to a different spot.
By the grace of God, I've been able to go to all these parishes. We're talking maybe about 138 this time. I think I might have mentioned that last time, and I had to do a recount, and that's what it is.
Okay.
So I've been to a couple of parishes since we last talked about it here. And the one I went to last week, it was St. Joseph on the Brazos Catholic Church, which is about an hour southwest of Houston off 288. And I had a really great time there. The pastor there is Tim Fan. And the church is small, and it's an older parish with about 500 parishioners or so. And Wyatt, as you step into the church, you notice that the whole church is made out of wood throughout. And it's very modest, but it also has a very reverent look about it. And in the sanctuary behind the altar is an intricate floor-to-ceiling tapestry that serves as a delicate background to the crucifix that's suspended from the ceiling. And then you have your beautiful statues and beautiful floral arrangements around those statues as well. So the church has a more of a rustic feel about it. It is, further out of Houston. And but it's really nice. And after Mass, I joined the parishioners, and we had coffee, and we had cupcakes and cookies. And that's one thing I do like about it. I get to meet the community people, that the parishioners are also kind. To learn more about this parish, go to stjosephonthe.brazos.com. And one last one. Go ahead. I'm sorry. One last one.
Well, I just wanted to compliment them on the idea of the beauty of the church, because I know that community can draw you in, but also just if a church is beautiful, what is true, beautiful, and good represents God. And so it's amazing how just being there physically in a church, you're in the presence of God. He's really there, and you can look upon these beautiful artwork, statues, and even just being there draws you closer to the Lord.
It sure does, Wyatt. And speaking of statues and other things you might find in a parish, in terms of this parish that I went to yesterday, this weekend I went to Mass at St. Wenceslas Catholic Church in Beasley, Texas, and that's about an hour away off the Southwest Freeway off 59 South. And it's a small church as well, but it's beautiful, and it has stained glass on the brick wall there. You have brick wall, stained glass, brick wall, stained glass. So every few feet away, you're going to have these beautiful stained glass of the different saints, that we know of. But anyway, they only have Mass they have several Masses, but on the weekend, they have a Mass on 4 p.m. on Saturday, so I had to go pretty early yesterday to Mass. And I really enjoyed it. The music was very lively and all. And the pastor there is Orrin Helpsky. So it's Father Orrin Helpsky. I hope I said that name right. Anyway, for those, I just want to share this right quick, Wyatt. I'll be sure for those who don't know, St. Wenceslas, he was a king in Prague in the Czech Republic over 1,000 years ago. And they mention him in a very popular Christmas song, I'm Not Going to Do That. I Don't Want You to Turn the Dial. Wyatt, I don't want you to shut me off this radio dial. Unfortunately, though, he was killed by his brother on the way to church, and he was a good king, and he cared for the poor, and that's basically the short of it. Their website is under construction right now. That's why I'm not going to give it, but if you ever get a chance, please look up that parish. It's a really nice parish. It's a small community. We talked about it earlier, and as Tim, the producer, had mentioned that it's a small community, but it's a very fun community, and I really enjoyed it. Very nice.
I appreciate you mentioning the stained glass windows, too.
Oh, the stained glass windows.
The
stained glass windows, you're talking about, statues and all, but, some parishes really emphasize in certain areas, and that's where I saw all the pictures of the saints, more so than the statues inside the church. So that was really nice as well. Exciting.
Very good. Excellent. Well, obviously, Carol, we'll continue to check in with you and you can give us the updates in terms of how the next churches that you go to, and I know you're getting farther and farther out from the inside of Houston, so you're reaching more of these outer areas now.
I depend more on my GPS. Boy, do I need that phone charged. But anyway, yes, it's been a great time, and thank you so much for allowing me the time to speak here as well about it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, as you know, Carol, we're also getting ready for a big basketball game that's coming up.
We're getting ready to rumble?
Absolutely. April 19th is the Priests versus Seminarians basketball game, and that's always a lot of fun. We here at the KSHJ AM 1430 are looking forward to broadcasting the game live. Again, it's going to be April 19th at 7 o'clock. Earlier, several weeks ago, I had the opportunity to stop by a practice. The priests are getting ready themselves, and they invited me to stop by just to say hello and talk with a few of them. Let's take a listen to that. Good luck. Basketball has been famously described as, quote, a fast-paced razzle-dazzle game which requires quick wits and even faster reflexes. For this team of priests from across the Archdiocese of Galveston-Houston, quick wits and fast reflexes are exactly what they're going to need if they hope to win the 7th annual Priests versus Seminarians game on April 19th.
So we just need to work on running this guy.
The priest team, whose mascot is the Martyrs, have lost the last 4 years in a row to a mostly younger and more energetic squad out of St. Mary's Seminary. So what's the strategy? Father Joseph Wyatt of St. John Vianney says, stay out of foul trouble.
I was in foul trouble really quick, so hopefully I don't do that so I can stay in the court longer.
Father Joseph says that could be a challenge considering the game gets pretty intense.
I get very intense personally. I've turned into a little bit of a different person when I'm on the basketball court. I played basketball in high school, so it comes out of me a little bit when I play. It's fun, though.
What was happening in the 5-out is you would just go near him.
Father T.J. Dolce, pastor at St. Martha's in Kingwood, helps lead the squad vocally. During a practice in early March, he and Father Preston Quintilla worked on various plays for nearly every scenario.
We tried to have some good, solid practices, running offense, defense, just working on our game. It's offensive strategy, and that's what has come a long ways since the last game, is just having a better offensive set where everybody knows what they're doing.
One key factor that makes this year's game different than last year's, the addition of Father Luke Prohoda, a 6'5" former minor league baseball player. Father Luke was ordained in May, so this is the first year he's playing on the priest team. Despite the rigorous workouts, he says the games are a great way to promote vocations to the priesthood and religious life.
These games are a great joy to be with your brother priests now, as well as those brother seminarians, competing against them, but just the excitement of the fans, people enjoying their Catholic faith, cheering on those who are seeking to guide them and lead them in the spiritual life, but also allowing them to see the humanity. We have to continually work on our humanity and foster those human virtues, but also foster our spiritual virtues and those theological virtues of faith, hope, and love.
And in so doing, the priests and the seminarians hope to foster a Catholic community across the greater Houston area that relies on those virtues.
1, 2, 3, Martyrs! Hey, Nick.
This year's Priests versus Seminarians basketball game is going to be held at the Tudor Fieldhouse on the campus of Rice University. So they're back there at Rice University. Tickets you can now purchase. They're online at houstonvocations.com/events. Again, houstonvocations.com/events. And you're going to want to make sure you get your tickets because they sell out pretty quick as we get closer to the April 19th date. As we normally do here on Guadalupe Radio Network, we also like to check in with different aspects of Catholic education. Catholic education is important here, and in so doing, we regularly like to have a sports report about Catholic schools. This week's sports report is done by Valeria Lopez.
Hello, it's Valeria here, rolling out your Catholic high school sports report for the Houston area. So let's start with boys baseball. St. Thomas Eagles lost a close one against Cedar Ridge Raiders. Strake Jesuit and Fighting Crusaders destroyed the Aleph Rams. St. Pius X Panthers took the victory against Dutchtown Griffins. St. John 23rd Lions crushed St. Francis Episcopal. And now, girls softball. Incarnate Word Falcons won by a close one against First Baptism Warriors. St. Pius X Panthers crushed Kincaid Falcons. St. John the 23rd Lions destroyed the Kelly Bulldogs. And lastly, the Disney Sacred Heart Chargers were defeated by St. John 23rd Lions. And that's a wrap of this week's sports report for the week of March 4th. Keep your radio tuned to AM 1430 for the next week's recap of Houston Catholic sports. And now back to you, Wyatt.
Valeria, thank you so much. Valeria Lopez is our Cristo Rey intern here, one of two that we have here at AM 1430. We'll be hearing a little bit more about Cristo Rey Jesuit coming up a little bit later in the program, so stay with us on that. Also here on AM 1430, we also like to regularly check in with the only Catholic pro-life pregnancy center here in the greater Houston area. It's called Loving Choice, and they actually have their office in Spring, Texas. So joining us here on the program is Julie Hancock. She's joining us live now. Julie, thank you so much for being back here on Catholic Lunch Break with us. Remind us here for our audience who may not have joined us the last time, tell me your official role, title, position at Loving Choice.
Sure. Thanks for having me again today, Wyatt. I'm the Client Services Director at Loving Choice. And what that means is that it's my responsibility to try to make sure that a client has the same experience no matter what day they come in to our center. And that revolves around training and ongoing education for all of our advocate volunteers who have that client interaction as our clients come through the doors.
And I know that's so important to have the right interaction with the different clients that come in. I imagine they come from all across the greater Houston area. How important is it to make a good impression right from the very start when a client walks in the door?
It is absolutely vital. If we lose them in that first 10 to 15 seconds, they're not going to feel, as comfortable to share their story with us, to open up to where we might be able to help them. And so when anyone comes to our center, we do have a buzz-in feature, so they're always greeted at the door. They're never walking in and wondering what's going to happen. Someone always lets them in and greets them with a smile, offer them something to drink, and then we just take the situation from there. We do offer appointments, but we also offer walk-ins. So if our schedule allows and someone just needs to come in and we have the space available and the staff available, we will take them right then and there if we're able to. So I think one of our unique features is that we're flexible. We have daytime hours, nighttime hours, weekend hours. We really try to meet our clientele where they are.
Part of that I know is important, is having good volunteers and volunteers who are well trained, because there are clients that come in the door, like I said, they might be a woman who's in a really tough spot. She might not have a lot of money, might find herself in a situation where she has an unwanted pregnancy and she doesn't know where to turn. So she comes in that front door, like you say, you buzz her in. Tell me, how do you prepare a volunteer who wants to help but may not have interacted with people like that before?
Sure, absolutely. It can be very intimidating. I was intimidated at first when I started doing the same thing as well. And so my background is not in social work or in counseling, but we are still very well prepared as volunteers to be able to work with clients. So if anyone, is considering volunteering, I don't want them to feel like they need to come to us with a social work degree or a counseling degree or psychology degree. We have a very extensive training process for all of our volunteers, whether they're client facing or non-client facing. And we never just turn anybody loose until they feel like they're ready. They go through an extensive shadowing process where they will watch an experienced volunteer meet with a client with the client's permission, and then they switch roles. They will be able to meet with a client while an experienced volunteer watches them, and then and only then, when they feel like they're ready, we'll let them go ahead and meet with clients on their own. We offer continuing education for our volunteers too, so that it's not you walk in the door, you're trained to be a volunteer and then you're done. We never
Right.
touch it again. But we try to offer ongoing training so that our advocates do feel comfortable, because you're right. No two situations are the same when a client walks through the door, and we can't prepare an advocate for every situation, but we do try to give them a good tool belt of things to use while they're in there with talking with the clients.
Sure. And like I said, that's good to know that anybody who has that ability to listen to another person can be a volunteer. They don't have to have a social
Absolutely.
background or anything like that. So that's very good.
Absolutely.
And of
Yeah.
course, for the clients who come in the door as well, they don't need to necessarily worry about the cost, right?
Absolutely. All of our services are provided free of charge to our clients, which is such a blessing. From the pregnancy tests all the way to the ultrasounds, we do offer basic limited obstetrical ultrasounds where we will do an ultrasound for the mom and let her see the baby. And those are also offered free of charge. So clients don't have to worry about insurance. They don't have to worry about payment. We are generously funded by benefactors and donors, and that keeps our doors open. And volunteers are the bread and butter that keep us able to have those doors open. There's less than 10 of us who are on staff at Loving Choice, and we probably have an army of 50 to 70 regular volunteers. And without
Mhm.
them, we could not open our doors like we do. So our volunteers are absolutely vital to our operations.
Very good. Excellent. So if people want to learn more about Loving Choice, they want to learn about potentially how they can volunteer, where do they need to go? What do they need to do, Julie?
Sure, great. Our website is loving-choice.org, and they can there's a contact us feature there on the website. But there's two different email addresses they could also just send an email directly to. The first one is info at loving-choice.org, and that's our general inquiry email box. But we do also have a volunteers director. Her name is Erica, and she is absolutely delightful. And if you send an email to her, hers is volunteers with an S. So VOLUNTEERS at loving-choice.org. You'll get directly to Erica, and Erica will be able to field your request and get you started in the screening process to be a volunteer.
Excellent. Very good. So again, the Catholic Pro-Life Pregnancy Center is called Loving Choice, loving-choice.org. Julie Hancock, thank you so much for joining us here on Catholic Lunch Break.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wyatt.
Coming up after the break, we check in with the president and CEO of our local Catholic Charities. Stay with us here on Catholic Lunch Break.
Southeast Houston Cardiology is a proud sponsor of this Guadalupe Radio Network station and The Doctor is In with Dr. Ray Garendi. Southeast Houston Cardiology has been serving patients with heart disease and vascular disease with up-to-date, compassionate, and comprehensive care for more than 20 years. Southeast Houston Cardiology has 2 locations, Webster and Pasadena. You can contact them online at southeasthoustoncardiology.com or 281-338-4004.
Celebrate the feast day of St. Joseph with fellow Catholics at St. Francis de Sales Catholic Church. Come and see the beautiful, traditional Italian St. Joseph altar decorated with delicious Italian treats March 17th and 18th. The event is sponsored by Catholic Daughters of America and the Knights of Columbus. All items will be available for a donation after dinner while they last. Proceeds go to the St. Vincent de Paul Society. For more information, go to stfrancisdesales.org.
Wyatt Goolsby here with a special prayer request. KSHJ and the Guadalupe Radio Network are completely listener-supported. We rely on small donations from Catholics from all over the area to keep our ministry broadcasting over the airwaves in Houston. Our spring share-a-thon is coming up March 19th through the 22nd. Would you pray that the Holy Spirit will move the hearts of a record number of Catholics in the Houston area to make a first-time donation? Thank you, and God bless.
The Catholic Lunch Break is underwritten in part by Loving Choice Catholic Pregnancy Help Center. Guided by the Holy Spirit and the teachings of the Catholic Church, Loving Choice extends God's love in the form of emotional, educational, material, and spiritual support to parents and families as they embrace the challenges and the blessings for an unplanned pregnancy. Loving Choice is a place any woman can go for help and information when she is facing an unexpected, emotional, and possibly scary situation. She can take advantage of a free pregnancy test, they perform free ultrasounds, and the volunteers at Loving Choice will listen and provide compassionate options without judgment or pressure. You could be one of those volunteers. Find out more at loving-choice.org. Always make the loving choice.
Welcome back to Catholic Lunch Break, the program where we update you on all things Catholic in the greater Houston area. This is Wyatt Goolsby, Executive Director of AM 1430. Our local Catholic Charities continues to try and help as many of the less fortunate as they can in our community, even as a growing number of people are falling on tough times. Joining us in the studio to talk about all things Catholic Charities in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston is Cynthia Colbert. She's the president and CEO and has held that position since December of 2012. Cynthia, glad to have you here. I have to continuously remind myself not to pronounce your last name like Stephen Colbert.
Colbert. Well, I'm pretty sure there's a relational somewhere.
Distant related,
yes,
maybe.
I'll keep looking.
But you pronounce it like it looks, Colbert. So
yes,
very good.
Yes.
I imagine you and your team at Catholic Charities locally are in kind of a tough spot as a ministry, just because you're aimed at helping the less fortunate. Because on the one hand, business is good. And on the other hand, if business is good, you guys are seeing more and more people who are in need. And so I imagine conditions like inflation are making things tough for a lot of people. And so as a result, they come to you with all sorts of needs.
Exactly. People who walk through the doors or call Catholic Charities, something's going wrong in their lives, all right? Things aren't going necessarily right. And so we want to reach out to people in need. They reach out to us. We try to help them wherever they're coming from. Even if we don't have that particular service they need, we can always refer them to another partner. But we do get a lot of calls for rental assistance, our food pantries, We all have long lines at the food pantries. We also have a lot of requests for utility assistance, and then our many other programs like immigration, legal services, housing. I mean, all of the programs we provide, we call it a wraparound model, meaning we look at what a family needs and we try to provide as best we can the services that they need to help them on their way.
Which makes sense because you really have to take a person by person, family by family, and
no
figure
two
out
families are alike. Exactly.
Right. So what has it been like? Has that been a situation with inflation or higher debts? Has that been particularly troublesome the last few months, last year? What do you think about the timeline on that?
Well, since COVID, of course, I think with people having either less work or no work and then coming back into the workforce as the economy kind of improved, we definitely saw families impacted by inflation. So they would come to the food pantries wanting to get groceries. I forget what the exact number of people who are what we call food insecure in the Houston and Harris County, but it's pretty high, double digits for sure. So the food pantry is always, we've not seen any lessening on the request for food. Rent is, people have trouble paying high rents here, especially in the Loop, but without. And I will say Catholic Charities serves people of all 10 counties of the Archdiocese. So even though we may not have physical presence, many of our programs can be accessed through virtual appointments and online applications. So we provide rent and utility assistance quite a bit. Rents, it's tough. Affordable housing, there's not enough of it. And people who are on the lower end of the income levels, they have a tough time because they're paying more percent of their income, whether it's like Social Security, fixed income, or they work, whatever it is, they're paying more of percent of their income for rent. So affordable housing is just something that we see across the board in almost all of the counties.
And like you say, there are so many counties in the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston, our area. Many people may not even realize just how big that area is. You had mentioned that you have food pantries, and they serve in, Houston, Fort Bend County, and Galveston as well.
Yes.
So that's a huge area to cover.
We millions of pounds of food flow through what we call our market-style pantries. We do drive-throughs because some people can't, if it's on a weekend, on a Saturday, for example, or after work, late in the afternoon, we'll do drive-throughs so that people can get pre-bagged sets of groceries. But the markets are intended to be a shopping experience so people can choose what they want. But we try to provide, if you think about what a family needs to have healthy nutrition, we try to provide protein and dairy products and eggs, fresh vegetables, and then, of course, canned and other staples like pasta, rice, and beans.
Mm-hmm. So food pantry, that's a big program that you guys do.
Yes.
Tell me about how other ways that you can help in terms of poverty and programs that you help in that sense, because I know you want to help families move from poverty to self-sufficiency.
Exactly. Well, we have employment services that are available. Some are designed to help refugees in terms of them coming to the U.S. They get assimilated to the U.S., and then within about 90 days, we have to have them employed. That's refugee resettlement. So we work with a lot of the Houston area employers, Amazon, Walmart, manufacturing, for example. Then we have employment services for others who might have come through other areas. They might come in through the door of counseling or the door of housing services, but we notice in our intake they need a job. So we have employment coaches who work with them on their resumes, how to prepare, how to do a job search. Maybe if they need job training, how do we connect them to job training? And then, of course, the ultimate goal is to get employed. So getting a job is, the dignity of work. It's part of Catholic social teaching. So to help a family and an individual on the path to greater self-sufficiency, what I see is housing is first, because without stable housing, not a lot can happen. Kids can go to school, they have a place to sleep, families can come together, so stable housing. And then, of course, employment. And then there are other services that a family might need that help them as well. Things like counseling services. Perhaps the family has gone through trauma and they need counseling to help them cope, right, with what they've experienced. That's one example. We also have we help families look at their financial situation, start to plan out, what are my financial goals? How do I begin to save money? Even though on a limited income, we do advocate that clients put away a little bit every month for a rainy day. So financial support that way. I think when we look at families, again, what we try to do is say, what are all the needs this family has? How do we provide some coaching or what we call case management services to help them reach their goals?
Sometimes I think that would be a challenge, especially to help the children out in some cases. I know that you guys try to help children out in the inner city part of Houston. That seems like that in particular would be a challenge because, as you know, Cynthia, post-COVID, a lot of the Catholic schools there have shut down in the inner city part of Houston. How do you begin to help out when it feels like on the service level you have less resources or less potential people who can help?
Well, we are fortunate. We have some grants that help us place counselors right into the schools. And it's not the same as what you might think of school counseling, which is more around, your classes and behavior. It's therapy, therapeutic services, and it helps the students do better in school, cope with what might be going on at home, and sometimes we engage the whole family to help the child. Sometimes we do presentations at schools about bullying and behaviors, and we definitely coach and work with the teachers because classroom management and helping the students, understanding it from a behavioral management aspect, helps the students do better in school. So we are in 5 of the Cross Academies, and eventually we want to be in all of them because helping children succeed in school and to help them, they have a lot of issues they may have experienced. Maybe they've witnessed domestic violence. Maybe they themselves have anxiety and trauma from an experience or something that's going on in their lives or something they've observed. So counseling in the schools, and they're all certified therapists, has really helped, I think, the students and the schools prepare their students for later success.
Despite all the challenges, it is nice to hear about all of the services that Catholic Charities here in our archdiocese likes to try to provide for people. Again, even when tough times, people are struggling with inflation and everything else. Tell me how that ties into the bigger mission of Catholic Charities.
Sure. Well, our vision statement is very simply stated. It says, "We are people of faith, helping people in need achieve greater self-sufficiency and live with dignity." Both very closely tied to our principles of Catholic social teaching, which is our foundation, really. Preferential option for the poor, the life and dignity of each human person, the rights and responsibilities, et cetera. So the 7 principles of Catholic social teaching we take very seriously. So as we look at Catholic Charities, obviously we can't do everything. We partner closely with parishes, St. Vincent de Paul, San Jose Clinic, and other Catholic ministries, and those in the community. But what we look at is what do families need to get on a path so that we are a hand out, but also, in most times, a hand up. And then we look, what are we good at? And then we try to provide, again, this idea of a wraparound model. Let's provide enough services so that a family doesn't have to jump for too many agencies. And then based on that, we develop a plan with them and then help them on their way. I look at us like the Good Samaritan. When we think about that parable, the person was in need. And there was an assessment, right? Some people walked by, but we stop. And like the Good Samaritan, then we assess what the needs are. We provide what we can, and then we make sure the person is cared for. In the parable, the person who helped went on their way and then came back and followed up. And that's an important part of social services. So once we get someone stably housed, for example, we know they're in an apartment, the rent, they have a source for rent, or they've got a job, we make sure we follow up. Are you still doing okay? Are you still employed? Is the housing working out? What else might you need? So like the Good Samaritan, we want to be the hands and feet of Christ to people. And at the same time, we're a bridge is how I view Catholic Charities. You've got one situation, we're a bridge to greater self-sufficiency. And then sometimes people have to come back, but our goal is to help them be on their way, essentially.
It feels like also Catholic Charities functions in that way also as sort of a way to evangelize the faith. If people who may not be familiar with the Catholic Church before, they come to you guys because they're in need. And if you're able to help them and follow up in that way, like the Good Samaritan, they gain a good impression about the church, a good impression about Catholics here in the local area. It seems to me a good way to build relations. Well,
I think Cardinal DiNardo would say that, the church is, we have the responsibility, of course, to celebrate the Holy Eucharist and Mass. We have the responsibility to teach the young in the faith and to help people experience and grow in their faith, preach the gospel. And then the church has a responsibility to help those in need. And that's where Catholic Charities comes in. And there's other ministries, right? Parishes do a lot of great things. We very much believe in collaboration with all those who are serving the poor and the vulnerable. And it's not always poor in dollars. It could be poor in relationship, or a poverty of self-esteem, or a poverty of spirit of themselves, confidence in themselves, poverty of a job. So when you think about the word poverty, it's not always just income, although that's often the presenting issue. But when we look at the vulnerable, how do we help really remind them of their strengths and their God-given talents and gifts that they have because they're a child of God. So we try to live the gospel. You know, St. Francis says, right, preach, sometimes we use words, but we preach the gospel at all times. So, and we people ask, do you only serve Catholics? No, we serve people, all walks of life, all faiths, because we serve out of our faith, right, to be God's presence in the world. And by virtue then of the kind of agency we are and the way we deliver services, we believe that is a witness to the gospel.
If you're just now tuning in, this is Wyatt Goolsby talking with Cynthia Colbert, President and CEO of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Galveston and Houston. Cynthia, one last question I want to ask you is about your own personal growth, if I may, because you have been the President and CEO since December of 2012. Obviously, I imagine you've learn more about the job itself, learn more about Catholic Charities locally, learn how to help people and do better in that sense. Have you also find yourself growing spiritually, growing closer to the Lord?
Absolutely. For Catholic Charities, we can have a great mission, but if we don't have money to provide the services, the sisters taught me that, no money, no mission. So I said, Lord, I have to raise money too. There's a humility that comes with that, about asking people to invest in the people that you serve, right? To hope for a better day, joy in the service. So I think when I worried, how are we going to do this? Is the funding running low? And then, through prayer, I'll look and the development department tells me, guess what? We got these gifts in today. It's sort of like manna from heaven. So the Lord has shown me that I have to rely on His strength, His guidance, His wisdom, a Holy Spirit to guide us at all times. There are good times at Catholic Charities. There are things that make you cry. Sometimes I say the work breaks you, meaning the situations people share with you are wrenching sometimes. But I also see the joy and the hope reinstilled in somebody because they have housing and counseling and other services that help them. And so in terms of my faith, I have faith in the goodness of people. I have faith in the Lord, and that He'll always provide, and that no matter what we go through, His hand is, right, we're held in His hands. So my faith is strengthened through this work. I pray that I'm a good example and witness of the Lord, and I try to do that in all parts of my life.
We will be praying for you as well as your whole team with Catholic Charities to do that. Such a powerful lesson, a reminder for us to rely on God. And of course, to love others wherever they may be.
That's right. Faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love.
Amen. Cynthia Colbert, President and CEO of Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up after the break, we highlight the growth of a Catholic high school that just marked a decade since it opened its doors in Houston. You're listening to Catholic Lunch Break on AM 1430.
Catholic radio is amazing. It provides a great opportunity to grow closer to God anytime. That's exactly what you get from the Guadalupe Radio Network. Tune in March 19th through the 22nd for the 2024 GRN Spring Share-a-thon. In the spirit of Lent, won't you consider being generous and donate to your local Catholic radio station? Show your support by donating during our Spring Share-a-thon, March 19th through the 22nd, or go online to grnonline.com.
It's that time of year again. Get ready to tee off at the 20th Annual Bishop Risotto Memorial Classic Golf Tournament. Join us in honoring Bishop Risotto's legacy through a great game of golf, food, and fellowship. The tournament is Wednesday, March 20th at the Wildcat Golf Club. The shotgun starts at 12 p.m., so don't be late. Sponsorships and foursome golf groups are available for playing, and all proceeds will benefit the residents of St. Dominic Village. To sign up, Go to stdominicvillage.org. We'll see you on the green.
Where do we come from and where are we going? Why do we have all these hungers in our hearts and what are we supposed to do with them? Hello, this is Dr. Christopher West from the Theology of the Body Institute. Join me at St. Helen Catholic Church in Pearland as we'll be addressing these questions and more at a very special event called Made for More. And it's going to be held March 21st and tickets are only $25. They are available by going to our website, theologyofthebody.com, and then go to the events, click on Pearland and register today.
Fridays in Lent are for fish fries. Join the Knights of Columbus at St. Luke the Evangelist. Dine in or take out at St. Luke's for just $15 a plate. That's right, $15 a plate. Fish, fries, hush puppies, coleslaw, corn on the cob, and iced tea. You can also buy homemade desserts from the Catholic Daughters. That's Friday fish fry in Lent at St. Luke's for $15. The Knights of Columbus are looking forward to seeing you there. God bless.
Welcome back to Catholic Lunch Break here on AM 1430. This is Wyatt Goolsby, the executive director of this radio station, KSHJ. A local Catholic college prep continues to note strong growth. After Cristo Jesuit opened its doors just over a decade ago, enrollment and community support is rising. Joining us here in the studio to talk more about Cristo Rey is Paul Beck. He is the president of Cristo Rey Jesuit College Preparatory. Paul, thank you so much for coming into the studio. We appreciate your being here.
Glad to be here, Wyatt. Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. So for people who are unfamiliar with Cristo Rey Jesuit, tell me a little bit about the Catholic high school.
So we are a college prep school in our 15th year, actually. We are a school that is exclusive to students that come from economically disadvantaged circumstances. So if you make more than a poverty level of income, and as it's stated in the United States these days, you would not be eligible to attend our school. We are a college prep school. So as a high school, our mandate is not only to make sure that our students are prepared for college and have the opportunity to be successful in college, but also to help form them as men and women for others for the greater glory of God, which is part of our mission statement.
Sure. So obviously they get a fantastic education, being that it is a college prep. They also have other opportunities for work, like this work-study program. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it actually started as part of the whole Cristo Rey movement many years ago, as part of a revenue-generating mechanism, but it's actually turned out to be more important than that, in that our students are getting real-world professional experiences, interning at, in this case for Cristo Rey Jesuit here in Houston, over 135 companies all over the city, including you guys, and thank you for that, actually hire our students and pay us for their services. And it gives them, our students, the opportunity to work in these environments and to build confidence in themselves, to learn real-world experience, and ultimately motivates them to want to go to college. Makes it a real tangible thing that they can achieve.
And I'm guessing now that the school is in its 15th year, it's taken a while to get more and more support from different companies, different corporations, in order to be able to hire, bring in the interns and students.
Yeah, it kind of ebbs and flows, Wyatt. And I'll tell you, during the pandemic, it actually was very difficult for us because we obviously could not send our students to work, and that was a very difficult period for us. And now that we've come out of the pandemic, what we found is this hybrid work situations in a lot of our companies don't allow them to hire our students back because they have, at the supervisor level, they have a lot of people that are still working from home. And on the days that they're working from home, our students can't go into work. So it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. The other thing that you find is, because our economy is so tied to oil and gas, energy prices, during downturns in oil and gas, it's a little bit more difficult for us to find partners because they either go out of business or they just don't have the financial means to support us. So like I said, it's kind of ebbs and flows. I think right now we're doing pretty well. All of our students are deployed in jobs, and we're very grateful for that.
And my understanding is that enrollment continues to rise. What is the enrollment like right now?
So we're at 480. We're going to, now we've been over 500. It went down considerably during the pandemic because we weren't able to physically recruit students. We had to do everything virtually. It's very difficult for a private high school to recruit students virtually. So the enrollment went down into the low 400s, where we've started climbing back up. And we'll be in the mid 500s next year and probably top out close to 600 students Last year, our freshman class was 150. We will do at least that again this year, and then we have a number of transfers on top of that. So enrollment has been really strong.
Sure. And like I said, there's a lot of opportunity for that here in the Houston area. A lot of people who want to have that college prep experience but may not come from a background where they can afford it. So this Cristo Rey has not been around but only like 15 years. So I can understand why more and more people are learning about the school and then learning about how can they apply or try to get on board with it.
Right. And the beauty of it, it gives them access to a Catholic education.
Mm-hmm.
An affordable Catholic education. And that's one of the things that I'm so impressed with, that 2/3 of our students actually come from non-Catholic schools. Mm-hmm. So that means we have students that are re-entering Catholic school. They may have been there at one point in their lives, or maybe they've never been in a Catholic school. Most of our students are Catholic. But I really like the fact that we're providing an alternative, a Catholic alternative to our students, which is a wonderful foundation for them in everything that they do in their lives.
It seems like one of the challenging parts for anybody who's in Catholic education, whether they're a parent or educator, is trying to manage the workload for these students, because there's a lot of important things they need to get done. They said they participate as interns in work environments, and they're also trying to get all of their school work done. They also participate in extracurricular activities. How do you guys begin to manage all that when it seems a little bit overwhelming just talking about it?
It is, and it is the students that do the work. The
Mm-hmm.
our students have so much grit and fortitude, and it never ends. It never fails to impress me how strong they are and how hard they are willing to work. I mean, they're in the school from 7:30 to 4, and if they have extracurricular activities, either a club or a sport, they're there till 6:30. So you think about that. That's a long time. A lot of them are traveling from sometimes as much as an hour away to get to the school. We do bus a lot of our students in, but that even takes time. So we've got kids getting up at 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, just to make it to school. And you think about it. I mean, this is a college prep program. It's not just a high school. It is absolutely college prep. And to get them prepared, it takes a ton of work to do that. But we only have 4 days a week, because they leave school one day every week to go work in their internship positions, which is, again, a wonderful opportunity for them. But you have to cram a college prep education into 4 days a week in 4-year period. So it's I'm just so impressed. But they go to college with a lot of grit and a lot of fortitude, and that is a really good thing to have as you enter college.
Like I say, Cristo Rey only in its 15th year, but tell me about the feedback that you've got so far from alumni who may have had that grit. They jump into a workplace, or in some cases they might go to college, they might go right to work. What kind of feedback are you getting about the preparation that they've had for post-high school once they've had a college prep?
Yeah, it's very, very positive. I mean, we have, at the end of this semester, we will have had 84 graduates from Cristo Rey. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them, including this year's senior class, have been accepted into college, most of the time multiple universities. And about 90 to 95% are matriculating onto college. Now, not all of them are graduating, but they're still getting a good opportunity at the experience. And we've had a lot of success. We have 5 of our alumni in the school now, working in various capacities, either teaching or working in our corporate work study program or in our development office. And that's been a good thing. We've had a number of alumni that have cycled through the school before as well. But yeah, we just get very, very positive feedback. They enter college, they're generally prepared. I mean, college is hard, right? It's hard for me. So it's never easy, but it's not like, they get in there and they're ready. But more importantly, they do have kind of that fortitude, what it takes really to kind of persevere through the hard times of college.
Can I ask you, Paul, what was your interest in joining Cristo Rey? Why did you want to be on board?
So my wife, Carol, and I, we actually, back when Father Martinez founded the school back in 2009, he asked her to chair the very first gala. So we did that. It was this massive gala down at it was in an airport, one of the terminals down at Hobby Airport. It was a lot of fun. And then she went onto the board. So she served on the board for 8 years. And at the same time, I worked at a company by the name of Macquarie Group downtown, a large financial service company. And we started employing the students. So, and we were very close to Father Martinez, both of us. And so over the years, obviously the school evolved and Father Martinez tragically passed away, but we stayed close to the school. And then when I retired in 2019, I was asked by the president at the time, Paul Pasoli, if I would apply for the job. And I thought, this is the calling that I've been waiting for in my life. So I did it. And here I am. It's 5 years later, and it's been an incredible blessing for me.
Fantastic. If you're just now joining us here on AM 1430, you're listening to Catholic Lunch Break. This is the program where we catch up with all things Catholic in the greater Houston area. This is Wyatt Goolsby talking with Paul Beck. Paul is the president of Cristo Rey Jesuit College Preparatory in Houston. We're talking about all things with the school and about some of their recent achievements as well. Paul, you were telling me just this year in 2024, you guys have been highlighting some of the things that have been going on.
Yeah, already mentioned one, that all of our seniors, again, have been accepted into college, so we're always very happy about that. And then the other thing is, within the Cristo Rey network, there's 39 schools within the network. They're all rated in various ways. And on the academic achievement scale, we're one of the highest performing schools. So we are second among the 39 schools in college preparedness, which is a quantitative measure that uses their GPA, their SAT scores, and their advanced placement scores to rank them for their ability to be prepared for college. And then on top of that, we have a really good incoming freshman class. I think we're going to have at least another 150 students, which is a great accomplishment for us and what we need to do to access more students and provide that Catholic education for more students. And then also on the SAT growth side, we have one of the highest SAT growths within the Cristo Rey network at, I think, 120 points. The SAT is given to all of our students every single year. So freshmen through either the SAT or the PSAT, and we have one of the largest growths. That's actually important because the SAT is used to access money. Most colleges, and our students, they need scholarships to get through college, and most colleges use the SAT as an objective way to measure, their suitability for scholarships. So we place a lot of emphasis in SAT and SAT preparedness.
Absolutely, and like I said, it's so important that these students, if they want to be able to get good scores and go to college as well. I want to give a shout out to one of our own Cristo Rey interns here, Valeria Lopez. She's joined us here in the studio as well, and give her a shout out. We appreciate her being here and all of her hard work. She's now a senior. Valeria, tell me, what roles have you been doing here at Guadalupe Radio Network? How long have you been here, and what all have you been doing?
I started working here at Guadalupe Radio Network my junior year, so since last year, currently 2 years working here. I have learned a lot of beautiful things, not only like how to manage videos, but do the high school sports reports that I make sure that's every morning, it's done every morning. I just have learned a lot with Tim, David, and you. So thank you so much for teaching me so many things.
Sure. Thanks for doing the sports report today, by the way. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Tell me about what kind of values, Valeria, you think you come away with having gone now to Cristo Rey, and you'll soon be graduating.
I have learned a lot of beautiful values. Coming from public schools to a private school was a big shift in my life. But one of the many values I can proudly say is open to growth and being a woman for others. And especially my faith. Never did I think I was going to be so close with God. If you will ask my middle school self, I will tell you I'm not sure where my relationship with God is. And coming to Cristo Rey has made my bond with God really strong. So thank you to CRJ for that.
Sure. And I mentioned you're going to be going to college. Where are you going to be going?
If God wills, I'm trying to go to St. Mary's in San Antonio and major in business management.
Very good. Well, of course, we'll be praying for you. Valeria Lopez, thank you so much. Like I said, we appreciate everything you've done as an intern here, and we'll continue to support you as well. So very good. Paul, just getting back to it, if people want to learn more about Cristo Rey, tell me where do they need to go and what do they need to do?
So we have a great website, CristoReyJesuit.org. And you can learn virtually anything you want on that website. You can sign up for
got everything on there.
It's got everything on there, and we have a monthly send out, or it's bi-monthly actually. It's called Lion's Tales. Our mascot is the lion, so we send out an update of everything that's happening in the school every other month via email. You could sign up for those, but go into the website. You can learn everything, and if obviously, if you want to contribute money, we're happy for you to do that, and that's all accessible through the website as well.
You mentioned you guys are having a golf tournament coming up. Tell me a little bit about that.
So that's April 8th. It's going to be at the Golf Club of Houston, which is the former Redstone course up on Beltway 8 and 59. And it's a scramble. And it starts at, I think, 12 o'clock, but you can sign up for that as well on the website.
Sure, very good. Just to round out our conversation about Cristo Rey, of course, we're a Catholic radio station here, Paul. We like to talk about all the important things that's Christ-centered. Tell me a little bit about what are the core Christ-centered values of Cristo Rey, and how do you think, in your time as the president of Cristo Rey, do you think you've grown personally as a believer in Christ?
Yeah, it's a great question. I participated in every year we have a retreat every year for all of our students in each class, and this year it's capstone for our seniors through what we call Kairos retreat. Mm-hmm. And I attended the boys' Kairos retreat, and it was so beautiful to listen. You heard what Valeria just said about her faith, and that makes my heart soar to hear that. But we live through our Jesuit charism, which really focuses on your life with Christ and how you can serve and how you can help the youth and help poor. And as I said, we are here to help form our students to become men and women for others for the greater glory of God. And I saw that come out during this Kairos with these boys talking about their lives and their relationship with God. And our students, they deal with a lot in their lives, as any high school student does. But I think when you come from this demographic, it can be more complicated at times, and they lean on that faith that they develop through high school, and it becomes a really important part of the overall experience at Cristo Rey Network. For me, it's been an incredible blessing. I feel closer to God now than I ever have before. I went through the spiritual exercises, which is, St. Ignatius taught us that years ago, and it changed my life with Christ. I now view Jesus Christ as a true friend of mine, as opposed to, somebody that I need to be afraid of.
It's a perfect way to close out this program. We're out of time. But Paul Beck, president of Cristo Rey Jesuit, we thank you so much for closing us out there here on Catholic Lunch Break, talking about your relationship with Jesus Christ. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wyatt. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time here on Catholic Lunch Break.